If you own a Harley-Davidson right now and you don't know what's happening on December 12th, 2025, you're not paying attention. And that lack of attention is going to cost you money, real money, thousands of dollars, maybe more. We are exactly 2 days away from December 12th. And on that date, something happens that's going to change the trajectory of Harley-Davidson as a company and the value of every Harley motorcycle on the used market. And if you're sitting there thinking, "What's December 12th? I haven't heard anything about this," then congratulations. You're exactly the kind of uninformed owner that this video's about. You're the person who doesn't pay attention to what's happening in the industry. You don't follow the financial news. You don't understand how corporate decisions affect your personal property. You just ride your bike and assume everything is fine. And that ignorance is going to hurt you financially. Today is December 10th, 2025. And I'm going to explain exactly what's happening on December 12th, why it matters to you as a Harley owner, how it's going to affect your bike's value, what it means for dealers in the brand, and what you need to do in the next 48 hours to protect yourself. Stay till the end because I'm going to give you the specific actions you should take before Friday if you want to minimize the financial damage. Smash that like button right now if you're tired of being the uninformed owner who gets screwed while everyone else profits. Subscribe and hit the bell because this channel keeps you ahead of the curve while dumb owners are left wondering what happened. And if you're one of those dumb owners who didn't know about December 12th, use this video as a wake-up call. Pay attention, get informed, stop being a victim. Let's get into it. Here's what's happening on December 12th, 2025. Harley-Davidson is redeeming $1.075 billion in senior notes that were originally set to mature in 2028. This is a debt restructuring move. Harley issued these notes years ago at 6.50% interest. They're now paying them off early, 3 years before maturity, using a combination of cash on hand and new debt at lower interest rates. Harley announced this move in early November 2025. It's public information. It's been reported in financial news. It's in SEC filings. Anyone who pays attention to Harley as a company knows about this. But most Harley owners don't read financial news. They don't follow the company. They just ride their bikes and remain blissfully ignorant until something bad happens and they wonder why. Now you might be thinking, okay, so Harley is refinancing some debt. That's just corporate finance stuff. Why should I care? I'm just a bike owner. This doesn't affect me. Wrong. Dead wrong. This affects you massively, and if you don't understand how, you're going to lose money and not even know why. Let me explain the chain of consequences that flows from this. December 12th, debt redemption and how it impacts you personally. First, understand what this debt move signals about Harley's financial condition. Companies refinance debt for one of two reasons. Either they're being smart and opportunistic, taking advantage of lower interest rates to reduce their cost of capital while they are in a strong position, or they're desperate, bleeding cash and trying to reduce their interest expense because they can't afford the payments anymore. Which one do you think applies to Harley-Davidson in December 2025? Here are the facts. Harley's sales are down 27% year-to-date through the third quarter of 2025. Their dealer network is contracting, with dozens of dealerships closing. Their stock price is down 25% for the year. They've been cutting costs, reducing model count, slashing marketing budgets. Their new CEO came in and immediately went into survival mode. Does this sound like a company in a strong position refinancing opportunistically? No. This is a company in crisis mode, trying to reduce expenses anywhere they can to stay afloat. By paying off the 6.5% notes and refinancing at lower rates, Harley will save approximately $15 to $20 million per year in interest expense. That sounds good until you realize they're using up over $1 billion in cash and taking on new debt to do it. After December 12th, Harley's cash reserves will be significantly depleted. Their financial flexibility will be reduced. They'll have less cushion to weather downturns or invest in new products. They're trading long-term financial strength for short-term expense reduction. That's not a move you make when you're healthy and confident about the future. That's a move you make when you're scared and trying to survive quarter to quarter. And here's something most owners don't understand about corporate debt and what it signals. When a company is doing well, growing sales, gaining market share, confident about the future, They actually take on more debt to fund expansion. They borrow to build new facilities, develop new products, enter new markets. Debt in that context is a tool for growth, but when a company is struggling, declining, losing market share, they do the opposite. They pay down debt, they cut expenses, they hunker down. That's what Harley is doing. This debt redemption isn't a sign of strength, it's a sign of retreat. They're pulling back, consolidating, trying to make the balance sheet look less scary to investors and lenders. It's defensive, not offensive, and defensive companies don't suddenly turn around and start growing again. They continue declining until they either stabilize at a much smaller size or they fail entirely. Now here's how this affects you as a Harley owner. When a company shows financial weakness, when they're obviously in survival mode, when they're making desperate moves to cut costs, the market reacts. And by market, I mean everyone involved in the ecosystem. Dealers react, buyers react, lenders react, insurance companies react, parts suppliers react, and all of those reactions push down the value of used motorcycles from that brand. Let me walk you through each one in detail. Dealers. Harley. Dealers are already struggling. Inventory is piling up, sales are slow, floor plan financing is expensive. Many dealers are barely profitable or losing money. After December 12th, when Harley's financial weakness becomes even more visible, dealers are going to get more nervous. They're going to worry about whether Harley will be around long-term to support warranties, provide parts, fund incentive programs. Dealer principals are going to have conversations with their accountants and bankers about their exposure to Harley. Some will make the decision to diversify by taking on other brands. Some will decide to wind down their Harley operations entirely. That nervousness translates into action. Dealers will be even less willing to take used Harleys on trade because they're harder to sell and values are dropping. When dealers do take trades, they'll lowball the offers even more than they already are. They're protecting themselves from future depreciation. If you walk into a dealer on December 13th trying to trade in your Harley, you're going to get a worse offer than you would have gotten last week. Not because your bike got worse, but because the dealer's risk assessment changed. And here's what happens inside dealerships that most owners never see. The used bike manager and the general manager have daily conversations about what they're willing to stock. They look at how long bikes sit on the lot. They track which models move and which don't. They calculate their carrying costs on floor plan financing. Right now, in early December 2025, those conversations at Harley dealers are brutal. Milwaukee 8 bikes, especially 2017 to 2019 models, are sitting for months. Nobody wants them. Dealers are stuck with them, paying interest every day. After December 12th, those managers are going to say, "We're not taking any more early M8 bikes on trade at any price. We're only taking clean, low-mile 2020 plus bikes, and even then we're going to lowball because we don't know how long it'll take to sell." This is happening right now. And if you're trying to trade or sell after December 12th, you're walking into this environment. Buyers. Private buyers shopping for used Harleys are getting smarter and more cautious. They're reading about Harley's financial troubles. They're seeing dealers close. They're hearing about the problems with Milwaukee 8 engines. They're watching YouTube videos like this one. After December 12th, when the debt refinancing and financial weakness is even more publicized, buyers are going to be even more hesitant. They're going to wonder, if I buy this Harley and the company goes bankrupt or gets acquired in a few years, what happens to parts availability, dealer support, resale value? That uncertainty makes buyers more cautious. Cautious buyers make lower offers. They want a discount to compensate for the risk. So private party sale prices drop. Your bike that was worth $22,000 last month is now worth $20,000 because buyers are factoring in Harley's instability. And there's a psychological component here that's important. When buyers look at motorcycles, they're not just buying transportation or a hobby, they're buying into a brand image and ecosystem. Harley has always sold itself as more than a motorcycle company. They sell a lifestyle, a community, an identity. But when the company behind that brand is visibly struggling, the psychological appeal diminishes. Buyers start thinking, do I really want to identify with a failing brand? Do I want to be the guy on the Harley when everyone knows Harley is dying? That shift in perception is subtle but powerful. It reduces demand. Lower demand means lower prices. Your bike becomes less desirable, not because anything changed about the bike itself, but because the brand aura is fading. Lenders, banks, and credit unions that finance motorcycle purchases look at brand stability when setting loan-to-value ratios and interest rates. A bike from a stable manufacturer like Honda or Yamaha will get better financing terms than a bike from a struggling manufacturer. After December 12th, lenders are going to see Harley as an even bigger credit risk. They'll reduce the percentage they're willing to finance. Right now, many lenders will finance 80 to 90% of a Harley's value. After December 12th, that might drop to 70 or 75%. That means buyers need bigger down payments. They'll require bigger down payments. Some lenders might stop financing certain Harley models entirely, especially problematic ones like early Milwaukee 8 bikes. I've already heard from sources in the lending industry that some credit unions are discussing putting Harley on a restricted list, where they'll only finance newer models with substantial down payments. When financing becomes harder to get, demand drops. Fewer buyers can afford to purchase, prices fall, your bike becomes less liquid, harder to sell. Insurance companies. Most owners don't think about this, but insurance companies also assess risk based on brand stability and parts availability. If Harley's financial situation continues to deteriorate, insurance companies might increase premiums on Harleys to account for uncertainty about parts availability and repair costs. They might also reduce agreed value coverage amounts based on falling market values. This makes owning a Harley more expensive, which further reduces demand, which further lowers values. It's all connected. Parts, suppliers. Harley has hundreds of suppliers who make components for their motorcycles. Those suppliers watch Harley's financial health closely because if Harley goes under, they lose a major customer. After December 12th, some suppliers might start requiring stricter payment terms from Harley, or they might diversify by pursuing other customers. In a worst-case scenario, if suppliers believe Harley won't survive long-term, they might reduce their inventory of Harley-specific parts, which could lead to parts shortages down the road. Owners worry about parts availability, which makes bikes less desirable, which lowers values. Again, it's all connected. All of these effects compound. Dealers lowballing trades means more bikes go to private sale, increasing supply. Increased supply plus cautious buyers means prices drop. Falling prices mean negative equity for owners with loans. Negative equity means people can't trade or sell without coming up with cash to pay off the difference. They're trapped. They have to hold the bike and watch it depreciate further. Meanwhile, new problems emerge. More Milwaukee 8 engines fail. More owners get burned by repair costs. More negative stories circulate online. The stigma grows. The death spiral accelerates. And December 12th is the visible marker, the date when Harley's financial weakness became undeniable. The point where everyone looks back and says, that's when things really started falling apart. Now, let me address the dumb owners who are going to comment. You're just fear-mongering. You're exaggerating. December 12th is just a debt payment. It doesn't mean anything. Those are the same people who said in 2023 that Harley was fine and sales would recover. The same people who said in 2024 that values would hold. The same people who are underwater on their loans right now wondering how it happened. Smart owners pay attention to signals. They understand that corporate financial moves reflect underlying business health. They connect the dots between company performance and asset values. Dumb owners stick their heads in the sand and pretend everything is fine until they get hit with a financial disaster they didn't see coming. Let me give you some historical context so you understand. This isn't just theoretical. In 2008 and 2009, during the financial crisis, Harley-Davidson nearly went bankrupt. Their sales collapsed. They had to get emergency financing. Their stock dropped from $70 to under $10. And you know what happened to used Harley values during that period? They crashed 30 to 40% across the board. Bikes that were worth $15,000 in 2000 were selling for $9,000 or $10,000 in 2009. Owners who needed to sell for any reason got destroyed. Those who could hold onto their bikes and wait eventually recovered some value as the economy improved and Harley stabilized. But it took years, and anyone who bought a Harley in 2007 at peak prices lost massive money if they sold during the 2008-2009 crash. We're entering a similar period now, except this time it's not a general economic crisis, it's a Harley-specific crisis. The company is failing while the economy and the rest of the motorcycle industry is doing fine. That's actually worse for Harley owners because there's no rising tide to lift all boats. Harley is sinking alone. Let me give you some real-world examples of how this plays out. After Harley's terrible Q3 2025 earnings report in November, used Harley values dropped noticeably within 2 weeks. I tracked pricing on CycleTrader and Facebook Marketplace. Bikes that were listed at $25,000 in early November were being relisted at $23,000 by late November. That's an 8% drop in value in 2 weeks, triggered by bad financial news. December 12th is another negative financial signal. It's going to trigger another drop. Smart owners are getting ahead of it by selling now. Dumb owners are going to watch it happen and wonder why their bike is suddenly worth less. Here's another example. When Harley announced massive recalls on 2008 models for brake problems back in 2009, values on those specific models crashed 30 to 40% almost overnight. Buyers didn't want bikes with known problems from a company that was already struggling during the financial crisis. Owners who sold before the recall was announced got decent money. Owners who held after the announcement got destroyed. The lesson: when you see bad news coming, act before the market fully reacts. December 12th is visible bad news. Smart people are acting now. Here's a specific real-world case study from this month. A dealer in Ohio that I'm in contact with had a 2018 Street Glide on their floor. They'd had it for 4 months. It was originally priced at $24,995. Clean bike, low miles, should have been an easy sell. It sat and sat. They dropped it to $22,995. Still no serious interest. Last week they dropped it to $20,000 just to move it. It finally sold this week. That bike lost $5,000 in value in 4 months just sitting on their floor. And the dealer lost money on it after holding costs and floor plan interest. Now, multiply that situation across hundreds of dealers and thousands of bikes. That's what's happening in the Harley market right now. After December 12th, it's going to intensify. Now, let me tell you what smart Harley owners are doing right now in these 48 hours before December 12th. They're listing their bikes for sale at aggressive prices. They're not trying to get top dollar. They're pricing to move fast. They're getting out before the market shifts further. They're taking their money and either buying from a healthier brand like Indian or investing it somewhere that won't depreciate. Meanwhile, dumb owners are doing nothing. They're riding around clueless. They're going to wake up in January and wonder why their bike that was worth $24,000 in November is now worth $21,000. They'll have no idea what happened because they weren't paying attention. Let me walk you through the exact timeline and what's going to happen. Today, December 10th, we're 2 days out. The financial community knows December 12th is coming. Harley stock might react this week as the date approaches. Some institutional investors might sell ahead of the date, anticipating negative sentiment. December 11th tomorrow, last day before the debt redemption. Smart owners who have been paying attention are finalizing sales. They're meeting buyers, signing paperwork, collecting money, getting out. December 12th, Friday, the debt redemption happens. Over $1 billion moves out of Harley's accounts. This will be reported in financial news. The Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, Reuters will cover it. Analysts will write about it. Some will spin it positive, saying Harley is managing their balance sheet. Others will correctly point out that this is a desperate move by a struggling company trying to stay alive. The tone of coverage will be mixed, but overall it'll reinforce the narrative that Harley is in trouble. December 13th and 14th, the weekend, the news spreads through motorcycle communities, forum posts, social media, YouTube videos like this one, Facebook groups, Reddit threads. More owners become aware of Harley's financial problems. Some will panic, some will go into denial. The smart ones will list their bikes for sale Saturday and Sunday, hoping to catch buyers before the market adjusts. December 15th through 19th, the following week, dealers come back from the weekend. They've seen the news. They've talked to their Harley regional reps. They've checked their inventory aging reports. They see bikes sitting. They adjust their trade-in values down. They become more conservative on what they'll stock. Used bike sellers start seeing softer demand and lower offers. Private sellers who listed their bikes 2 weeks ago at $24,000 start getting offers of $20,000 or $21,000. They're confused and frustrated, but that's the new reality. December 20th through 24th, the week before Christmas. Motorcycle sales are traditionally slow this week. People are focused on holidays, dealers are closing early, but listings keep accumulating. More owners trying to sell. Buyers are scarce. Prices are soft. December 26th through 31st, the week after Christmas. Dealers are slow. Some are closed for the year. The few buyers who are shopping are bargain hunting. They smell blood in the water. They're making lowball offers knowing sellers are desperate. By New Year's Eve, the reality is set. Harley values have reset lower across the board. January 2026, motorcycle shopping picks up slightly after the holidays, but the new baseline is established. Street glides that were $25,000 in October are now $21,000 to $22,000. Softails that were $20,000 are now $17,000 to $18,000. Early Milwaukee 8 bikes have dropped even more. Sellers are shocked at how much value evaporated in just a few months. Buyers are cautiously interested. But they know they have leverage. They're not in a hurry. They'll wait for the right deal. February and March 2026, traditionally when motorcycle sales start picking up as weather improves and people think about riding season. But the Harley market stays depressed. Inventory is high. Demand is weak. Dealers are cutting prices trying to move aged stock. Private sellers are competing with dealer discounts. It's a buyer's market. Values continue to slide. By spring 2026, the new normal is established. Everyone accepts that Harleys, especially early Milwaukee 8 models, are worth significantly less than they were 6 months ago. Owners who sold in November or early December got out at better prices. Owners who waited are stuck with the new lower values. That's how these things unfold. Slowly, then all at once. Here's what you specifically need to do in the next 48 hours if you own a Harley and you want to protect yourself. First, assess whether you want to keep your bike long-term or whether you might sell within the next year or two. If there's any chance you'll sell, do it now. List it today. Price it aggressively. If comparable bikes are listed at $24,000 to $26,000, price yours at $22,500. Yes, that hurts. But you'll get calls immediately. You'll have buyers coming to look at it. You'll sell within days instead of weeks or months. And you'll get $22,500 now instead of $19,000 or $20,000 in February. That's a $3,000 difference. Get it sold before Friday. Even if you take slightly less than you hoped, you're getting out before values drop further. Second, if you're keeping the bike long-term, at least understand what's happening so you're not blindsided later. Check current market values for your model and year. Go to CycleTrader, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. Search for your bike. Look at what similar bikes are listed at. Look at how long they've been listed. Screenshot everything, save the listings, create a baseline, then check again in a month. You'll see the depreciation clearly. You'll see bikes that are listed today still sitting there in January, relisted at lower prices. You'll see new listings coming in lower than current listings. It'll be obvious. At least you'll understand what's happening to your asset value. Third, if you're underwater on a loan, meaning you owe more than the bike is worth, stop making extra payments. You're throwing money into a depreciating asset. It's like trying to bail out a sinking boat with a teaspoon. Make minimum payments and redirect extra cash to savings or investments that actually grow. Focus on paying down the loan over time while the bike depreciates, and eventually you'll get right side up, but throwing extra money at it now is stupid. That money is better used building an emergency fund or investing in something with positive returns. Fourth, if you were planning to buy a Harley, wait. Don't buy now. Don't buy in December. Don't buy in January. Wait until February or March when dealers are desperate after a slow winter and values have stabilized at lower levels. You'll get a much better deal. Dealers will be sitting on inventory they've had for 6 months. They'll be motivated. You'll have leverage. You can negotiate aggressively. You might get a bike for $5,000 to $8,000 below what it would have cost in October. Be patient. Let the market reset. Then swoop in. Fifth, consider switching brands entirely. If you sell your Harley now, look at Indian, look at Japanese bikes, look at brands that aren't in crisis mode. Indian Motorcycle is thriving, they're gaining market share, their bikes are excellent, the Power Plus engine is strong and reliable. The Challenger and Pursuit touring bikes are better than Harley's offerings in many ways. The Chief Cruiser lineup is beautiful and well made. Indian dealers are stable and growing. Parts and support are solid. If you want an American V-twin cruiser or tourer, Indian is the smart choice right now. Or look at Japanese bikes. Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki all make excellent motorcycles that cost less and are more reliable. Your next bike should be from a company with a future, not a company circling the drain. Don't let brand loyalty or ego trap you into making bad financial decisions. Sixth, if you have a 2017, 2018, or 2019 Milwaukee 8 model, you need to be especially aggressive about selling now. These bikes are being hit hardest by depreciation because of the known oil pump defect that causes oil sumping, consumption, and engine damage. After December 12th, the combination of the defect stigma plus overall Harley brand weakness will crush values on these specific years. A 2019 Road Glide that's worth $21,000 today might be worth $17,000 or $18,000 in March. That's a $4,000 loss in 3 months. Sell now or accept that you're going to lose thousands more. There's no recovering from this. These bikes will always carry the stigma of the defect. Even if you upgrade the oil pump yourself at a cost of $5,000, buyers will still see 2018 on the title and mentally categorize it as a problem bike. Cut your losses and get out. Seventh, document everything about your bike. Maintenance records, receipts, photos, mileage logs. Create a folder, physical or digital, with all of this information organized. If you do decide to sell later, you'll need this to prove the bike was cared for and get maximum value. Buyers want to see documented maintenance. They want proof that oil was changed on schedule, that the bike wasn't neglected, that problems were addressed promptly. Having this documentation can add hundreds or even thousands to what a buyer is willing to pay. Do this now while you can still find receipts and remember what work was done. Don't wait until you're trying to sell and scrambling to piece together the history. Eighth, join online communities where Smart Harley owners discuss these issues. Forums like HD forums, Harley-Davidson forums, specific model forums, Facebook groups for Harley owners, Reddit communities. These places have experienced owners who pay attention and share information. You'll learn what's really happening in the market, what bikes are selling for, what problems are emerging, what strategies work. Stop being isolated and uninformed. Connect with people who know what's going on. You'll make better decisions. Ninth, consider getting a professional appraisal of your bike if you own it outright and might sell. This gives you a documented baseline value from a neutral third party. If values drop significantly after December 12th, you have proof of what the bike was worth before. This can be useful for insurance purposes, for negotiations with buyers, or even for tax purposes if you sell at a loss. It costs a couple $100, but the documentation can be valuable. 10th, if you're emotionally attached to your bike and the thought of selling it is painful, separate your emotions from your finances. Yes, you love your bike. Yes, you have memories attached to it. Yes, it represents freedom or identity or whatever emotional value it holds. But it's also a depreciating asset that's losing value rapidly. You can love motorcycles without financially destroying yourself. Sell the bike, take the money, buy a different bike later when the market stabilizes, or buy from a healthier brand. You'll create new memories and attachments. The emotional pain of selling is temporary. The financial pain of holding a depreciating asset is permanent and ongoing. Make the smart financial decision even if it hurts emotionally in the short term. Now, let me address what's going to happen to Harley-Davidson as a company after December 12th. This debt redemption is a band-aid. It reduces one expense, but it doesn't solve any of Harley's fundamental problems. Sales are still declining. The customer base is aging out. Young riders aren't buying Harleys. The bikes are overpriced for what you get. Reliability is questionable, especially Milwaukee 8 engines. Dealer network is contracting. Competition from Indian and others is intensifying. Harley's brand image is fading. These problems don't go away because they refinanced some debt. All they've done is buy themselves another few quarters to figure something out. And based on the last 8 years of mismanagement, I have zero confidence they'll figure anything out. Here's my prediction for Harley-Davidson's trajectory over the next few years. 2026 will be brutal. Sales will continue declining, probably another 20 to 30%. More dealers will close, maybe another 50 to 70 dealerships nationwide. The company will continue cutting costs wherever they can. They'll reduce headcount. They'll consolidate facilities. They'll cut model variations to simplify production. None of this will be enough. By late 2026, Harley will be in serious distress. Their stock will be under $15 per share. Credit rating agencies will downgrade their debt. Rumors will circulate about potential bankruptcy or acquisition. In 2027, one of three things happens. Option 1, they file Chapter 11 bankruptcy and restructure. They'll use bankruptcy to shed debts, close unprofitable dealers, renegotiate contracts. They'll emerge smaller and weaker, but technically alive. Option 2, they get acquired by a larger company, possibly an Asian or European manufacturer who wants the Harley name and North American dealer network. The brand will continue, but under foreign ownership and management. Option 3, they limp along in zombie mode, barely surviving, slowly dying over several years until eventually they collapse entirely or get broken up and sold for parts. Any of these options is bad for current Harley owners because parts availability, dealer support, and brand image all suffer. Compare this to what happened with other declining brands. Remember Victory motorcycles? Polaris shut them down in 2017. Owners of Victory bikes saw values crater because parts and dealer support disappeared. Those who sold before the announcement got reasonable money. Those who held got destroyed. I tracked Victory values before and after the shutdown announcement. Before the announcement, a 2015 Victory Cross Country with 20,000 miles was selling for around $12,000 to $14,000. After the shutdown announcement, those same bikes were selling for $7,000 to $9,000, a 40% value loss overnight. Why? Because buyers knew parts would become scarce, dealer support would vanish, and the bikes would become orphans. The same thing will happen to Harley owners if the company fails or gets acquired and the new owners decide to shut down certain models or the brand entirely. Remember Buell? Harley shut them down in 2009. Same story. Buell had loyal owners who loved the bikes, but when Harley killed the brand, values crashed. Parts became hard to find. Dealer support disappeared. Buells became orphans. Early sellers did okay. Late sellers got crushed. Remember when Harley killed the original Sportster lineup and replaced it with Revolution Max Sportster? Original Sportster values dropped because the model was discontinued. Buyers worried about parts availability for obsolete models, pattern recognition. When brands are in trouble, when models get discontinued, when companies fail, owners who act early minimize damage. Owners who wait get destroyed. Let me tell you about another owner situation happening right now that illustrates the point. A guy named Rick owns a 2018 Road Glide with 32,000 miles. He bought it used in 2021 for $28,000. Right now it's worth about $20,000 to $21,000 based on current market listings. Rick owes about $24,000 on his loan. He's underwater by about $3,000 or $4,000. Rick has been watching Harley's problems and he's nervous. He's read about December 12th. He understands what it means. Rick made a hard decision. He's selling the bike this week. He listed it at $19,500, below market, priced to move fast. He already has 3 people interested. He'll probably sell it by Thursday. He's going to take the $19,500, pay off his $24,000 loan, and write a check for the $4,500 shortfall. It hurts. He's losing $4,500. But Rick understands that if he waits, in 3 months, the bike might only be worth $17,000 or $18,000 and he'll be $6,000 or $7,000 underwater. By acting now, he's minimizing his loss. He's taking a painful but manageable hit now instead of a catastrophic loss later. Rick is smart. He paid attention. He acted. Compare Rick to another owner, Dave. Dave owns a similar 2018 Road Glide. Dave doesn't follow any of this stuff. He doesn't know about December 12th. He doesn't read financial news. He doesn't watch videos like this. He just rides his bike and assumes everything is fine. Dave is going to keep riding through December, through January. Maybe he thinks about selling in the spring when riding season picks up and values improve. Except values won't improve. By spring 2026, his bike will be worth $18,000 or $19,000 if he's lucky. Dave will owe $23,000 on his loan because he's been making minimum payments. He'll be underwater by $5,000. Dave will be shocked. He'll wonder what happened. He'll ask his buddies why Harley values drop so much. They'll shrug and say, "I don't know, everything just got cheaper." Dave will have no idea that the decline was predictable, that smart owners saw it coming, that he could have acted in December to minimize his loss. Dave will eventually either eat the $5,000 loss to get out from under the bike, or he'll be trapped, unable to sell, stuck making payments on a depreciating asset for years. Dave is dumb. Don't be Dave. Here's the ultimate reality check. If you're sitting here watching this video and you still don't think December 12th matters, if you're still in denial about Harley's problems, if you're still planning to do nothing, then you're beyond help. You're the dumb owner the title refers to. You're going to learn the hard way. You're going to lose money, and it's going to be your own fault for not paying attention. I can't force you to be smart. All I can do is give you the information, present the analysis, show you the patterns, explain the consequences. What you do with it is up to you. But don't come crying 6 months from now when your bike is worth 30% less and you can't understand why. The information was available. You chose to ignore it. You chose to remain uninformed. You chose to do nothing. The financial consequences are on you. Here's what's going to separate smart Harley owners from dumb ones over the next 2 years. Smart owners are informed. They follow the industry. They read financial news. They understand corporate finance basics. They recognize warning signs. They connect dots between company health and asset values. They act proactively to protect their investments. When they see values dropping, they sell before it gets worse. When they see problems emerging, they switch to better brands. They make rational financial decisions based on data, not emotion. They're willing to take small losses to avoid large losses. They're forward-looking and strategic. Dumb owners are uninformed. They don't pay attention. They don't read. They don't understand how things connect. They react emotionally. They stay loyal to brands out of nostalgia, even when the brand is failing. They make excuses and rationalizations. They deny problems exist. They wait too long to act. They take massive losses that could have been avoided, and they never learn. They repeat the same mistakes with the next bike or the next investment. Which one are you? If you're watching this video, presumably you're trying to be informed, which is good. That's step 1. But the test is what you do next. Knowledge without action is worthless. If you take action in the next 48 hours based on what you've learned here, you're smart. If you watch this video, nod your head in agreement, and then do nothing, you're dumb. It's that simple. Actions matter, not intentions. Here's the bottom line. December 12, 2025, 2 days from now, Harley-Davidson redeems $1.075 billion in debt. This is a visible marker of their financial weakness and desperation. After this date, the market will react, dealers will be more conservative, buyers will be more cautious, lenders will be more restrictive. Used Harley values will drop further. This is predictable. This is knowable. Smart owners are acting now to get ahead of it. Dumb owners don't even know it's happening. If you're watching this video, you now know you're informed. What you do with that information determines whether you're smart or dumb. 48 hours. That's what you have. Use them wisely. What are you going to do? Are you selling? Are you holding? Did you even know about December 12th before this video? Drop your answer in the comments. Smash that like button if this video woke you up to reality. Subscribe and hit the bell so you're never the uninformed owner again. Share this with every Harley owner you know. 2 days, don't waste them. Thanks for watching, stay informed, act smart. And remember, ignorance isn't bliss when it costs you thousands of dollars.